This year is a very exciting year for APPEC because it's the first year that we are having a separate biofuels conference. So this is a whole day dedicated just to biofuels. And I'm really excited. We're covering some really interesting topics. Firstly, policy. Biofuels and policy go hand in hand. It's the key driver of demand. But we're facing a lot of challenges and a lot of changes. There are some really exciting policy incentives. We've got increasing mandates for blending of ethanol, for biodiesel. We've got the European countries ratifying RAD3. There are challenges there on the timeline. What does this mean for trade flows? But policy's, not always supportive. We've got some protectionist policies that can create market challenges. What's the latest in the US with 45Z? What's the latest in the US with import tariffs? How is that changing the trading landscape? What's happening closer in Asia? We've got restrictions of exports from Indonesia, focus on growing their domestic biofuels usage. So all of these are changing how we're seeing these trade flows. If we look on the product basis, one of those really interesting kind of newer products, sustainable aviation fuel. Something that we've spoken a lot about, but there's still so many unanswered questions. We've seen the European SAF price increase to a 16-month high. It's an incredible increase in the last few months. And part of that is really some maintenance that's going on at some of the large producers. Part of that is we haven't seen export licenses for Chinese exports being given. And part of that is really the first year for Refuel EU aviation policy. So we're heading towards the end of the year. We're heading towards that compliance deadline. What does this mean for the European suppliers? What does this mean for the airlines as well? So all of this has come together to create this challenging landscape. And what does this mean for regional and global kind of sustainable aviation fuel? Another area we're diving into is the maritime sector. So we saw in Q1 this year, Singapore overtook Rotterdam as the largest supplier of biobunkers. It's a big change. We're looking at B24. We're looking to add B30 price coverage as well. This is a new demand sector for biodiesel. So the whole maritime sector is pulling more and more biodiesel, which creates this new demand center. So what does that mean for Singapore? What does that mean for Rotterdam? Where else are we seeing biobunker expansion? And then how does that relate from a feedstock perspective? You've got increasing road transport, aviation, and maritime usage of biofuels. But feedstocks, this is a really interesting topic. There's got this competition from all of these sectors for very similar feedstocks, particularly on the waste feedstock like used cooking oil. You've seen that impact on the prices. You've seen the changes on the trade flows. What does this mean going forward? And how does this all relate to the future of investment? How can the industry really kind of grow and survive through this changing landscape, through the changes of policy, through trying to build consistency, and how it relates to all of these net zero and decarbonization targets? So many questions, so much kind of interest in how this is developing and how this is growing, both from a local impact, but then where does we sit within the global picture as well? So I'm really excited. I hope you're excited. I'm really looking forward to it as well.